Hi, I'm Vidisha. I'm the communications specialist for the Associates of the Boston Public Library, and I'm so excited to interview you today.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm Ilyon. I'm the author of Master Slave Husband Wife, which is the true story of Ellen and William Craft, who about 175 years ago, they embark on this extraordinary journey for freedom, with Ellen passing as a rich, white, disabled man, and William posing as her slave. And it's about their journey out of the South, from Georgia all the way to Philadelphia, to Boston where we are, but then ultimately beyond. And I owe a huge debt to the Boston Public Library for amazing research that made my book possible.
My name is Jay Moschella. I'm the Curator of Rare Books and Manuscripts here at the Boston Public Library.
Ilyon, could you tell us the story of discovering letters that became the foundation of your book? What drew you to telling the story of William and Ellen Craft?
First of all, it's the Crafts' own words, their own published narrative, rare published narrative, which you have a copy of right here, that pulled me into the story. So this itself is a page turner, but there's a lot that the Crafts could not or would not say. And so that's really when I started to research at places like the Boston Public Library to sort of try to create the equivalent of an orchestral score to go with the melody that they wrote. And what voices came out of the archives, just unbelievable, out of the letters that you have here. So this is an incredible book. I mean, this is a story that launched it all, that makes it possible for us to know so much about the Crafts today. It's their own published written words where they recount their journey. They had spoken this story many times, both in the United States and then in the UK, but this is the story written down. And it's always like really moving for me to see an actual edition.
Yeah, and what is particularly amazing about this copy is that it's not any old copy of the narrative itself, but this is a copy that is inscribed by William. When you compare the handwriting, you can see they're identical, to William Lloyd Garrison, who he sends a copy to from London in June of 1860. So right around kind of the same time he's writing this letter. So again, you see this network of correspondence that is not only reporting events and describing other people, but actually sending books and recently published materials back and forth across the Atlantic. This is a book that was actually digitized with the help of the Associates in 2011, and it really kind of illustrates the depth of the collections here at the BPL. This book has been here since 1891. It was donated by Garrison's son, and for a very long time, it was in a collection that we now call the Founding Research Collection, which is to say, essentially, the circulating research collection of the BPL, which is difficult to imagine calling out a book that belonged to Garrison sent to him by the Crafts. But it's now been here for so long and it's been used so heavily that it does require some further conservation. But aside from the rare and amazing first edition of their narrative, the fact that it preserves this network of communication, to me, is breathtaking.
And has William Craft's hand in it.
Yeah, exactly. So we knew we could see the dedication. We weren't quite sure if William or Ellen wrote it themselves or if somebody else wrote it and sent it on their behalf. But when you compare the two letters, it is very, very clearly Craft's handwriting, William Craft's handwriting.
Which means that he held this book.
Which means they held it and made the decision to send it over. So meaningful unto itself.
How did you learn that the BPL Special Collections contained materials supported by the Associates, which were essential to your work?
I don't think it's possible to do research on the Crafts or many other key figures from this period without the Boston Public Library's collections. It's really through scholars, past and present, whose work I sort of followed like breadcrumbs that led me straight to your archives. One of the most extraordinary to be so close to was a very rare letter written by Ellen Craft. And this is very soon after actually she got to England and really got to study and learn how to read and write for the first time. So to see her exquisite penmanship on the page is a real gift, and I'd be happy to read it. This is from the Ockham School near Ripley, Surrey, England, November 29th, 1851. We, as you well know, have been deprived of the art of writing and consequently felt our inability of addressing a letter to you. The letter of introduction, which you were so kind as to give us, was to such a kind and valuable friend that we trust not to labor under this disadvantage much longer. And will be much pleased if you would send us the Liberator occasionally, so that we may know what is going on. Please to remember us very kindly to Mr. Garrison, Mr. Walcott, and all other inquiring friends, and believe us to be yours very truly, William and Ellen Craft. To the Reverend Samuel May, 21 Cornhill, Boston.
I was wondering what your emotional response was the first time you read this letter.
So the first time I read it, like in person, actually there are multiple times when I read this letter, or two firsts, I should say. The first was reading it on the screen, because the Boston Public Library, I believe, has digitized so many letters. So it was a eureka moment to discover this and find the words on the page through Ellen Craft's hand. You can almost see, you can see the texture of it too in the high resolution that you have on the screen. But then actually to be here and to be in the presence of this piece of paper that Ellen Craft once picked up and touched, and to see these letters that she formed, and to see her artistry performed. You can see she had incredible manual dexterity. She had a talent with visual things. You can see all of that in the flourishes in every stroke. And so for me to actually, every time I see this page in person, I get chills up and down my spine.